Day 6. APRS is today's topic. We are going to do some APRS today, and I'm going to invite Jason, KM4ACK, onto the channel. He is one of the most knowledgeable people with APRS that I know. He has some really good videos on his channel on YouTube, different things you can do with APRS. So we're going to start at the beginning today. We're going to go from square one. I'm going to explain to you what APRS is, how it works, and all that kind of good stuff. So let's get started with day 6. APRS is the Automatic Packet Reporting System, and it's a digital protocol used by ham radio operators to transmit real-time data like location, weather alerts, event calendar items, locations of different events that might be happening around your area. APRS was developed in the early 1990s by Bob Berninga, WB4APR, to facilitate real-time data exchange among ham radio operators. It operates primarily on the 2-meter amateur radio band 144.39 megahertz in North America and 144.800 megahertz in Europe. I actually had the pleasure of meeting Bob Berninga at a TAPR conference several years ago. He is now Silent Key at the time of this recording. He died a couple of years ago. But prior to that, he would always show up to the TAPR events and do presentations on APRS, and I think the last presentation I ever saw him did was about battery, solar power, and electric vehicles. But he was just a wealth of information. Really great guy, very approachable, very nice, very easy to talk to. One of those guys that made amateur radio better. But he did develop this protocol back in the mid-1990s, and it has taken shape in lots of other forms since then. How it works is it operates on the AX25 protocol, a standard for packet radio communication using frequency shift keying, FSK. We talked about 8FSK the other day when we were talking about FT8, which operates on 8-level FSK, frequency shift keying. And I had mentioned, although I haven't done a video on this series yet about DMR and Fusion, I had mentioned that those operate on 4-level FSK, 4 FSKs. So FSK is something that's very popular in amateur radio. APRS operates at 1200 baud AFSK, or less commonly at 9600 baud. It relies on a network of stations, including digipeaters, gateways, and end-user equipment to relay and process data. So like most things inside of amateur radio, it is enhanced by the internet, but it does not require the internet. So it works over simplex, basically. You can do radio to radio. You can have a radio and transmit an APRS message or data or object or location from this radio to a radio near you, and you can receive and transmit messages that way. You can use digipeaters, which are basically repeaters. They take packets and just retransmit them. A lot of times guys will have digipeaters high up on towers, and it makes your 5-watt handheld transmit a lot farther, just like a repeater on 2 meters or on 70 centimeters. Also, there are I-gates, and the difference between a digipeater and an I-gate is that a digipeater just retransmits data. It's offline, it works all the time, it's just a way to get weak and lower signals out farther. An I-gate can also digipete, but it also transmits those coordinates to the internet. If you go to aprs.fi, you can look up stations in your area, drill down to the map near you, and you can see digipeaters and stations, mobile stations, handheld stations, I-gates, weather stations, all kinds of stuff on the map there. In order to get information transmitted to aprs.fi, which is the standard website for APRS, it has to go through an I-gate. So like I said a moment ago, I'm going to invite Jason to come onto the channel, and we're going to talk about APRS. He's much more knowledgeable than I am about this protocol, and he's got some really good insights. So let's go to that real quick. Let's talk about, people think APRS is just a position reporting system. And I think you were saying at the park, you were like, if that's all you use it for, uninstall it, get rid of it. Don't do that. so what's a good thing to use APRS for that's not just a location beacon that tells everyone where you are, because maybe you don't want people knowing where you are, because, you know, some people might be a little bit more private than that. I know there's objects you can set, right, and special events and whatnot. So yeah, you had some really good points at Montesano that day. So go ahead.
So let's touch on the position reporting first.
Okay.
It's kind of cool to keep up with your friends. If you don't want people to know exactly where you're located, Almost every radio and every application gives you position ambiguity.
Yes.
Meaning you can offset your location so they can kind of see roughly what block you're in or what 6 block area you're in, depending on how much ambiguity you program into it. But you don't have to give up your precise location. So we can get that out of the way first, because I understand the privacy concern over that. Now, what else can we do with it? There's a vast range of things you can do with it. For instance, if you're running a radio that allows you to simply put the frequency that you're currently monitoring on the other side of your APRS radio, say it's a simplex frequency, if it's a repeater frequency, if I see you pop up in my list, I can literally look at your location. It will tell me what frequency you're on. Now that's kind of cool, but I don't want to reprogram my radio driving down the road. Most radios like the Yaesu FTM 400, the Yaesu FTM 500, and I believe this also applies to the Kenwood D75 HT. The Yaesu HTs don't do this, but they have a QSY feature. So once I see your report, then I just reach up to my radio and push the QSY button, and my radio is automatically reprogrammed for whatever frequency you're on.
On the opposite band from 144.390?
Yes, on the opposite band from 144.390.
Good.
So, I mean, we've got 4 or 5 fairly active repeaters in my area. I may see one of my friends. They're not on the repeater I'm on, but if they're running that, then I hit the QSY and I automatically jump to that repeater. If you're traveling, and you put that you're monitoring 14652, now if you pass me within simplex range, I know that I can reach out to you on that frequency. So there's another use case of how to use it and stay in touch with people. There's another lesser known feature of APRS called Voice Alert. And most of the mobile radios have it. The Kenwood D75 HT has it. The Yaesu HTs do not. But Voice Alert allows you to literally send out or talk on 144.390 long enough to say, hey, Jason, I hear you. I see your beacon. Looks like we're in simplex range. Go ahead and move over to 5.2.
Are you actually saying that, or does the radio have a...
No, you have to pick up the mic.
You have to pick up the mic, okay.
Yeah, move your radio to move your transmit side to 144.390, and you actually talk on top of 144.390 with all of the packets. Now, you want to keep that brief because you don't want to create a lot of disturbance there, but something quick, that's 5-10 seconds, and then you move off of it is perfectly acceptable.
Gotcha, okay, good.
So there's one more day-to-day use case of how people can use it. Now, if you want to go a little bit deeper, you can get much more advanced than that.
I think that's a good... So one of the videos I did I'm trying to remember which day we're on here. I'm recording these videos all in advance. So my day 3 video is about FM simplex, and it's about talking on 146.52 and monitoring that frequency on road trips. So this is a good tool to use on top of that, to not just for position reporting, obviously, but to monitor, just like you said, just like if there is someone driving down the road, and maybe we're not keying up our mics every 5 or 10 minutes, throwing out our call signs, the way that maybe some of us should do. I should do that. I should get better about that. When I enter a new area, I should throw out my call sign just on 6.52, just for the heck of it. But if I have APRS running and it's beaconing that I am monitoring 652, other people can pick up their mics and call me because they just see me popped into the area. So that's a good tool on top of a video that I've already made from a couple of days ago. So that's a good point you're making there. Okay, I like that. What else?
All right, so more day-to-day use case is possibly APRS messages. The one downside to this is most radios, I don't care who the manufacturer is, they're stuck with an interface from 1990. The interface is horrible on every single APRS radio. The general interface is clunky, not to mention trying to key in a message with only 9 keys, let's say on an HT. But you can use APRS messages, maybe not to a specific person, but send out an APRS group message. Almost all radios belong to the CQ group from the factory as a default. So instead of sending you a direct APRS message, I can put CQ in the to field, send out, good morning Murfreesboro, good morning Dallas, whatever it is. That's going to hit every single person's radio over APRS as an APRS message. So it's a group message. If they reply to you over the message, then it'll come back direct from their call sign. But if you put, good morning, monitoring 146.52, somebody might pick up the microphone, see that message. They may not reply to your APRS message because it's too darned hard when you're driving down the road.
Yeah.
But they might pick up their mic and call you now on 52. So there's another day-to-day use case. And the cool thing, most radios allow you to do what's called canned messages. So you can pre-populate that message field while you're sitting in your driveway at home, not dealing with traffic. Then when you get into traffic, it's quick and easy because it's a canned message just to go, hey, send the number 2 message. And you know that number 2 is your CQ message. So there's another possible day-to-day use case of it.
Now, what's the difference between a CQ message and a bulletin?
Bulletins are more for things, for instance, my APRS system that's sitting back here, it's connected to the internet and it constantly scrapes the NWS, National Weather Service's website for any weather alerts in my county or any county that touches mine. If it sees a watch or a warning message, and this can include even winter watches and winter warnings, but severe thunderstorms, tornado watches, tornado warnings. Now my APRS digipeater picks up that information from the NWS and sends it out as a bulletin. It's more of kind of a higher level alert, if you will, when a bulletin comes out. Doesn't have to be, but that's typically the way most people watch it, or most people use it.
Okay. And do these messages, bulletins, CQ, and I know that Yaesu has a group in all of their radios just called Yaesu.
Right.
And if you go into APRS messaging in any radio, you're going to find pre-populated groups. I don't remember if Kenwood has one or not, but they probably do.
They do. The only radio that doesn't do that right now, as far as APRS radios that's on the market, is the BTEC radios and that VGC. I don't think either one of those has APRS groups in it.
Can you program them?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Unless they've made a recent firmware update that I haven't seen, I don't think that's possible.
So I've been carrying something else I'm going to talk about in the video today is this I've been carrying this radio ever since the Huntsville Hamfest. I took it to the Huntsville Hamfest, connected it to APRS Droid, and just liked so much the way that it worked that it's an EDC for me now. I just leave it on the APRS frequency. I lock the screen, I put it on my belt, and I have APRS Droid running on my phone, not 24/7, but during the day, but while I'm not sleeping. I put it on the charger at night to charge the radio back up. And in fact, what I might do here is connect my phone to Zoom and do some screen sharing with APRS Droid. So I would receive any bulletins or group messages while I've got that system running. But since it's an HT, I might miss it somewhere. But my question was, and something I thought about the other day, and I was like, this is a question for Jason. So right now my truck is on also. Because generally speaking, we're down here on the coast for a couple weeks, and generally speaking, I will leave my APRS and my truck running on while I'm out of town, while I'm not at home. And I can, of course, see the truck from my HT, and my HT can see the truck, and the truck can see me, and vice versa. And I got to thinking about it, and I don't think it works this way, but since Meshtastic is such a popular thing these days, I'm like, you know what? Do these operate as a mesh together? In other words, if I send a message from APRS Droid connected to an HT sitting inside the house, there's actually an iGate on Galveston Island, not too far, a little bit west of me, a little bit on the other side of Galveston Island State Park. N5YIZ is the call sign on it, and I've met the guy. He's a cool guy. He's active in POTA also, and it has excellent coverage. I don't know how high up he has the antenna, but it's got great coverage because I have been in an iGate for most of my trip down here. At least my truck has. The HT kind of goes in and out depending on where you go. But if I were to send a message from my HT, would it somehow bounce off of my truck before it goes into the iGate, or does it mesh like that, or how does that work?
So yes and no.
Okay.
By default, out of the box, no, it does not. I have been experimenting though with running APRS Droid in the truck and setting it up as a temporary digipeater specifically for my HT. And I'm actually going to do a video on this in the not too distant future.
Okay.
But even at Huntsville, I had this set up in the parking lot. And when I beaconed for my HT, it hit my truck. My truck rebroadcast it, and it went up to the mountain where the iGate was.
Right.
So it can be done, and it's not terribly difficult. And the way I set my truck up, my digipeater's on all the time, but it won't necessarily respond all the time. I'm using some custom paths from the HT to make it turn on and off basically when I want it to.
Right.
But it's always on and ready if I just change the path on my HT.
Okay.
So, yes, in theory it's possible, but by default, and if you're just running like the FTM 500, you can't make this work.
Yeah. So you got to manipulate with it to.
You need either a
Something.
laptop or a tablet connected to the radio to make something like that function.
Okay. So you can't just
Now-
do it by the radio itself.
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
When
All right.
the D750 comes out with Kenwood, it should have that feature built into it.
Because it's got a digipeater in it.
Yes.
Okay.
So if it's
Okay.
like the D75, it's going to have the built-in digi.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure they've already said that that's in there.
Mm-hmm.
And that would allow you to run a custom path and leave that 750 running and be able to use it as a digipeater the way I'm doing now with a tablet.
Okay, so this is APRS. Like I said, I've been running APRS Droid basically since I got back from Huntsville. And -7 is obviously my HT. I've got my message in there as 146.520, filming 30 days of ham radio and WinLink on the end. I had AP mail in there, but it was too long with the filming 30 days of ham radio message that I put in there, so I took out AP mail. Topic for another video. I guess I don't use AP mail because I get WinLink messages. I get, say, hey, you have 3 WinLink messages, but I don't get anything from AP mail, so I don't think it's something that I use. But you can see right there on my, the top one is -9. That's my truck that's sitting out in the parking lot. And I just started this. I just clicked on start tracking at the bottom right corner, just like during this recording that we're doing. So my truck says 146.52, and I should probably change that because that's both the message and it shows the, I've got the settings set to show what the top band is on.
Right.
But I don't. But sometimes I change that, so that's why that says that there. I've got more than one radio in the truck, so I'm always monitoring 6.52 somewhere. Maybe on the APRS radio, maybe not. But this is a cool tool. I really have been enjoying APRS Droid because you can go in here and open up a map and show certain details in here, and then open up APRS map. And if we zoom in right here, there's the N5YIZ-2 iGate that's not too far from me right there. So that's where we're showing now. Now, I really liked the fact that you could, Jason, you have a video on your channel about how to add offline maps to APRS Droid so that you're not dependent on the internet, and you can use this mapping system when you're totally off grid.
Yes. Yeah. I run APRS Droid on a phone and a tablet, and both of those are loaded up with offline maps. It's a little bit cumbersome to get them done, but once you've got them installed, you never have to worry about having internet service again.
Right. Yeah. So you gave me the maps for, I think it was Alabama, Mississippi, and Tennessee, and
I think so.
those were the only ones you had. So I'm going to go watch your video, which I haven't done yet, but I'm going to build myself a map for Texas and add that to my phone, so I can do stuff there. But messaging is incredibly easy. See, there's the top message I got. I have 3 WinLink messages. So WinLink's going to be another subject in this series. So I'm purposely not checking my WinLink messages right now. I want some WinLink messages to come down when I do that WinLink video during this 30-day series. But in order to send you a message right now, what would we need to do? We're both we would both need to have a radio on, obviously. But would I want to go out to the truck and send it from there, or what's the best way to?
You can try it from the HT. You're probably going to have better luck from the truck just because you're running 50 watts. But I actually tried to send you one a second ago, and it did not go through to you.
To -7?
Yeah, to -7. So I'm guessing you inside and HT and the dummy load antenna and distance from the Digi, you probably just aren't making it in.
Probably not.
And that's where having that digipeater in the truck really helps out, because if you had that and turned it on, then you wouldn't have any trouble. You could use your -7 inside on low power and just bounce it through your truck and, have a good connection.
That requires, you said that requires a tablet or a computer connected to the radio, because unless it's the Kenwood, right? You can set the Kenwood up for temp 11, can't you?
Yeah, well, the HT will do a digipeater just with the radio itself. The D72, the old version, will also do a digipeater just with the radio. The D74 will not, cannot be a digipeater. I don't know why they had it in the 72, took it out, and then gave it back to us.
So can you run a digipeater? You ran a special path for the digipeater you were running. So can you just turn on digipeater and do what you just described, or do you have to run that custom path? What's the purpose of the custom path?
The custom path was only because I didn't want every single person using my truck battery while we were in Huntsville. There's a lot of APRS there.
That is
and I wanted
true.
I wanted to make sure my truck would start when I got back out there in the afternoon. So that was really the main reason. And then I knew that it wouldn't be interfering with the infrastructure that was already in Huntsville. It would only be digipeating basically my path, and there was a few of us that used it, but it wasn't just digipeating everybody, because if you were outside, you had a direct shot to the APRS digipeater in Huntsville. So mine was really not needed in that particular case.
Okay.
Oh, and it looks like I did just get an acknowledgement from your radio, and I see the message on your screen.
Oh, yes, it just popped up.
Yep.
Okay.
So you do have enough to make it to the Digi. It just took it a few tries.
I moved the radio to the other side of the table. That might have done it. Okay. So yeah, let's reply to that, because why not? Now, for reference, I'm in Galveston, Texas right now, and Jason is in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. How far from Nashville?
I'm about 35 minutes or so southeast of Nashville.
Okay. So we're talking about 3 or 4 states here. Okay. We're not communicating via RF. We're communicating via RF over iGate, which is another feature. You can use an iGate, but you don't have to use an iGate, especially if you're at especially if you're at a Hamfest. My goodness, there was a lot of APRS, like he said a minute ago, there was a lot of APRS messaging going on at the Huntsville Hamfest in August of this year. So message received.
Yeah, so while you're typing that out, that's a good point to touch on. APRS can run completely independent of the internet. So as long as we're within simplex range, we can make it work without any trouble whatsoever. And I just got your message received.
Yeah, it just turned green on the screen there. So that's great.
However, if you've got the internet, now you can just expand the capabilities. The downside to this, all of this, and kind of to Mike's point, K8MRD, if you're not within range of a digipeater, well, all of this is kind of pointless unless it's like me and you in the middle of the woods, just using RF to RF. So if you can't get into a digipeater, and there's a lot of areas in the country where digipeaters just don't exist, that's where you've got to know the limitations of this. But it's the same thing if you were trying to talk to a voice repeater. If you're outside of the limits of that repeater's footprint, that repeater doesn't do you any good. So you've got to understand the tool and how it's used, and how much footprint you've got with that tool.
Exactly. Okay. Well, this was a good demonstration. I thought I was going to have to go out to my truck to send you a message because of the the range here. But like I said, that iGate digipeater here on the island is quite good. It's been working quite well this week while I've been here. So, man, that's a great explanation. I don't want to get too deep into it. I've got a few other things I'm going to film today to add to this video series, but I really appreciate your time today. This was informative, and I always think of new questions to ask you when I get you on a call. So about this stuff, because Jason is the expert on APRS. I mean, there's no question there. So, man, I appreciate your time this morning.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to keep this on, and I might send you a few more messages throughout the day today. So, because I tried to send Jason messages before in the past, and they don't go through, and I'll text him, and he's like, "Oh, I don't have a radio on," and I'm like, "Okay." But
I'm trying to keep on more and more on a regular basis, just with APRS Droid. When I'm in the office or at the house, I try to keep that on. Now, if I'm out and about and I'm at work, then I can't do that. But I try to keep my Dash 7 on more than not. Okay. Well, that's like I said, that's what I'm trying to do myself. So I'm monitoring for messages on Dash 7. And we've got this iGate here on the island that's working very well. And I've got a new iGate Mini. I showed you that new iGate Mini at Huntsville, and made by CSN Technologies. And that thing is probably going to be running in my truck soon, because my truck has full-time internet anyway. So it won't I don't know if it'll digipede or not, but it will definitely iGate messages to and from the internet and over RF as well. There's settings in there. You can turn all of that off or on. And so that's something I'm going to be running in the future as well. But yeah, I'm going to keep my Dash 7 running. And for those of you watching on the video series, if you have APRS, send me a message, KC5HWB-7. I will be monitoring it throughout the course of this series, and it's probably going to be one of my everyday carries from now on. Jason, thanks for your time today, man. I'll let you go. And absolutely. I'll let you know when this video posts as well. All right, so I'm back at Galveston Island State Park just because I want to be. Just because I want to be here, really. I really like it out here. We're probably going to go do some parks on the air in a bit. We get friends out here, like Mr. Bird right there. What are you doing, pal? I don't have any food for you, sorry. So right now I am looking at APRS Droid on my phone, and you can see the stations down at the bottom here, KA5WMY-11. You see it's kind of like turned yellow, almost grayed out, and then the stations at the top are pretty solid white. So that's a history. Once they get to a certain age, they will drop off the bottom of the list. But this is the most recent station. That's stations you've heard at the top. You see KM4ACK-7. That's Jason's HT that we just spoke about. Yes, he's back on the HT now. I'm going to try to send him a test message. Okay, he's talking about it's not SSID specific most of the time. They typically show on both. I had commented earlier, I'd sent him another message. So we've sent 2 or 3 messages since our meeting this morning. And I said, you know, all of the messages that he sent me to my Dash 7 HT showed up in my truck. So I'm like, why are they showing up in both places? Because you're sending him to KC5HWB-7. And that's what he's talking about right here on the screen. He's like, yeah, it's not SSID specific. If you send something to a person, then they're going to get it on whatever radio they might have running right now with APRS messaging turned on. So, okay, so I'm testing. I'm going to send him another message here, testing from yet another location. You can see it's KC5HWB 1 of 7. So it will try 7 times to send that message. It's on 2 of 7 now. So we're going to see if this location I'm sitting at now is within range of the iGate or not. In fact, you know what I might do? I might take my HT here that I'm using. This is my BTEC UV Pro. I'm going to go set it out here because there's a metal wall behind me, and I think that the iGate is basically in that direction. So I'm going to set it up here right for the moment. Now, I have a couple of ideas about how to get a portable APRS station with a 50-watt radio and a man pack, and I'm not going to do that on this video, but that might be a thing for a future video that we try. All right, so it's still trying it there. You see that on the screen here, my KC5HWB-5 is right below my Dash 7. The KC5HWB-5 is this. Now, typically you want to run Dash 7 from an HT, and you want to run Dash 9 from a mobile station. Dashes 1 and 2 are like digipeaters or iGates or something like that. And there's designators for all of the numbers.
I've seen as high as like dash 15. One of them is you can run APRS Droid from your phone with no radio attached at all, so you're on an internet connection, and I think that's like a dash 6 or dash 8 or something. I don't remember. These are not required designators. They are beneficial to folks who are used to using APRS and well versed in APRS, so that they can quickly look at the screen and say, oh, that guy's on an HT radio, or that guy's on a mobile station, or that's a digipeater or something like that. So they're useful in that regard, but they're not a requirement. I have got dash 5 running on my HT right now, running on my Kenwood D75, because my UV Pro is running dash 7, and I didn't want them running on the both on the same thing. And that's the only reason I've changed it, is because I didn't want them both being the same designator. So if we look here, I'm going to go ahead and go beacon from my Kenwood here. I'm going to turn off the beacon and turn the beacon back on, and you can see it showed up on the screen at the top right there. 146.52 megahertz D75 WinLink. Okay, D75 is the message I've got. WinLink is at the end of the message. If you put WinLink at the end of your message, it will come back and it connects with the WinLink servers, and it will say, hey, you have 2 WinLink messages, you have 3 WinLink messages, something like that. So that is a useful tool built inside of APRS also. So I'm going to click on his, let's see, let's go back to messages. Okay, testing from yet another location at the state park, okay. And you can see that one's on 4 of 7 now. So I'm going to go over here to the Kenwood, and I am going to try to send a message from this. APRS Droid is awesome, really, really liking APRS Droid. But if you want to use a radio interface, these Kenwood radio interfaces are fantastic as well. The Yaesus are workable, they're usable, they're just not as good as the Kenwood is. I've got APRS 12 right there and BCN, or BCON right there. That means that I'm on APRS 1200 baud and it is set to beacon. I can turn the beacon off, so it's just listening to messages now instead of beaconing at the same time, and I can turn the beacon back on and it transmits immediately showing my position. This is what I'm showing here. It's what I'm sending out to other people. All right, so we're going to find KM4ACK-7 at the top. Again, that's his HT. Okay, I'm going to click into that, and I'm going to click message, and it just automatically comes up with message text, and you click the enter button, said, and I'm going to say from, and I'm going to click enter, and then send is right there on the screen, and I'm going to click send. It's going to try to send that message there. And see, we just hit the N5YIZ-2 digipeater. So and that's actually an iGate. It's an iGate and a digipeater. So that one is going to go through, while this one probably, let's check the screen again. Now this one's on 5 of 7 now, testing from yet another location at the state park. You can see 5 of 7. So in other words, what's happening is that radio being out there, sitting outside this metal building, is not getting out as far as my Kenwood with the larger antenna on it. And it's just a matter of the larger antenna, really. I go to message list here. Yep, so it sent that message to him, and it's up to him to get it and reply at this point in time. I'd mentioned my UV Pro earlier in the video, and these videos I'm doing for this series are not really sponsored, but I might kind of sprinkle in coupons and sales and deals throughout them. So this one here is for the UV Pro. If you go to Baofeng Tech, use the link in the description below, which is an affiliate link of mine. Use the coupon code of HR2-UV Pro. You can save 10% off of that radio. That radio is about $165 normally. During Prime Day, they had that radio for sale for $140. That was a much better price. It was $25 off. My coupon is $16.50 off. If you want to wait till Prime Day next year, they might put it back on there. I don't know. But right now, every day, HR2-UV Pro will get you 10% off of the UV Pro. And like I said earlier, this is on my belt, not at nighttime. I turn it off when I go to bed at night, and I put it on the charger and go to sleep. So I don't want to say it's 24/7. It's not 24/7. But this has become an EDC carry for me. I carry this with me just about everywhere I go. I've been doing so since the Huntsville Hamfest in August of 2025. And I've had this going since then, and I've been really... And it's just via Bluetooth. It's connected via Bluetooth to my phone, which is running APRS Droid. Now, the unique thing about the BTEC radio and the Kenwood D75 is that they have a Bluetooth KISS TNC. KISS is keep it simple, stupid, or something like that. And a TNC is a terminal node controller. Generally speaking, a TNC is a device that goes between your radio and a computer of some sort. Android tablet, iPhone, Windows box, Mac OS, laptop, whatever. So a TNC, we used to use Cantronics KPC3 TNCs back in the day, and I did real packet radio, and I had a TNC connected to my HTX 202 Radio Shack HT, and with an external antenna on the truck, and I would drive down the road and do keyboard to keyboard packet radio. Hopefully not when I was driving. I don't think I did that, but maybe I did. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. But a TNC goes in between your computer device and your radio. Well, these days, a lot of stuff is Bluetooth. So these two radios, the D75 and the UV Pro, and the VGC version of the UV Pro, have a Bluetooth TNC. So it's easy to connect an app like APRS Droid or a Windows app. I think there's one on iOS called APRS.F5. There's another one, I don't remember the name of it right now. There's a Windows-based app called, I can't remember the name of that one right now either. There's several different apps that are available for APRS on all kinds of platforms. The one that Jason said he likes best is called Yak, Yet Another APRS Client, YAAC, Yet Another APRS Client. And I think maybe it only runs on Linux, but I'm not sure on that. I haven't tried that one yet. That's on my list of things to do. But a TNC will connect your computer device to a radio and give you enhanced capabilities and ease of use, more so than a radio that has an APRS enabled. Yaesu radios, most of them have APRS enabled, but they don't have a TNC built in. So you have to use the screen on the Yaesu and the native Yaesu menus in order to use APRS. And this is true for several other Chinese radios. The Anytone radio, same thing. That new Radtel 880G that I just did a video about has APRS, but you have to use its menus also. It doesn't have a TNC built in. So the difference between a TNC radio and a non-TNC radio, one with a built-in TNC, and you can get external TNCs. MobiLinked is an excellent wired and or Bluetooth TNC. So you can get a MobiLinked device and connect it to any radio and use it as your TNC. But these radios with built-in TNCs are really upgrading the game of what you can and can't do with APRS. So I have APRS Droid running on my phone all the time during the day now, connected via Bluetooth TNC to this UV Pro that's on my belt. So you guys send me an APRS message during this series. All right, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to send a CQ message the way that Jason was talking about, to send a broadcast CQ message. And I'm going to do it from my Yaesu radio that is 50 watts. And in the truck here. One thing I will mention, okay, this is going to be the last part of the video, and I'm getting daily emails from ARRL about the status of our donation page. ARRL.org/30 days is the donation page for this series. Also remember that I am personally donating a dime for every new subscriber I get. And for every video that reaches 10,000 views, I will donate $100. So that's 30 videos times 100, that's $3,000. Okay, so go out there and watch the video. Share the video with your local group or club or ham radio buddies or something like that. Let's get all of these videos up to 10,000 views before the end of this month. Today, I got an email from the ARRL, and it had some really good information in it. And we are up to about $810 now. As of last night, really. As of last night, we're up to $810 towards our $30,000 goal. 3 of the donors made a comment. Now, you can make a comment when you donate, and you can be anonymous about it, or put your call sign in, or put your product in, put your webpage in, whatever, and I will read it on the air. So these 3 are all anonymous, okay? The first one donates in honor of his father, Tom Baden, K8OMD, and grandfather, Harold Barton, W9PB. Both are silent key now. The second donor is anonymous. It says, Adina, my daughter who is a teacher, in honor of her. And the last donor, and this one's kind of hard to read. It was hard the first time I read it. In honor of Robb Elementary teachers and students, we will never forget those who gave their lives in sacrifice to educating and protecting our children. May God bless the memory of our loved ones. Now, Robb Elementary. I didn't recognize that name at first, but a name you will recognize is Uvalde. In 2022, there was a shooting at Robb Elementary in Uvalde, Texas, and several teachers and children died in that shooting. So hearts go out to them. Terrible tragedy. Wish it had never happened, especially in Texas. But thank you for the donations there. This is, once again, this whole effort is to donate to the ARRL Teachers Institute. So I really appreciate those notes you guys put in your donations yesterday. So let's check this out. Let's do a CQ broadcast from the Yazoo radio. Now the Yazoo menus are a little bit, they're a little bit different. So we're going to go here to message list. Okay, and I'm just going to pick one of these, and we're going to edit call sign. Edit CS is edit call sign, and I'm going to put CQ as a group. There we go. So CQ, and now I'm going to go edit text, and this is a non-QWERTY keyboard, so you're going to have to bear with me as I type on this thing. And then good afternoon Galveston to CQ, and go MXTX. Now you hear that dee. That means it's sending right now. So good afternoon, Galveston. Sent as a CQ. We're going to see who else in Galveston is monitoring APRS. And I will report that message back tomorrow. 73 guys, thanks for watching the series. Share this video. We'll catch you tomorrow.